Stick around for this video and I will go over why you should or shouldn't start hosting an Airbnb in 2019. What's going on, everyone? My name is Robert. In today's video, I want to share with you some very insightful information on whether or not you should host an Airbnb property in 2019 and whether or not the market is too saturated and what is in it for you if you get started. So be sure to stay tuned for the entire video because what I'm about to share with you guys is highly valuable information. So for those of you who don't know, I currently generate income through Airbnb's business model through a method called rental arbitrage. Now what this means is that I'm using a landlord's property that he has out for rent on the market. I'm renting the property with a written agreement from the landlord allowing me to host an Airbnb through his property. For all of you skeptical people out there, I want to assure you that we both win in this situation. The landlord gets his rent and I get to keep the profits on top of rent every single month. So for today's video, I want to show you how much opportunity is actually out there. And I'm going to show you my property and the annual revenue, the nightly rate, the occupancy rate, all that stuff. And I'm going to break down why you should get started and how easy it is to actually scale this business model and how I'm going to scale it to 6 figures in 2019. So if you guys want to hear more about that, just stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel if you guys want to be updated on when I acquire more properties, how I go about the process of acquiring them, because these are all things I'm going to be documenting along the way. So for all of you guys out there that think, there's no way that you're going to be able to make rent and keep money for your stuff at the end of the month, I'm going to break that down for you guys. And this alone is the reason you guys should start. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is my current listing on Airbnb. Look how dinky this property looks on the exterior. The fact of the matter is that it's a beautiful home on the inside. We've done a great job at giving our own personal touch on this property. And therefore our occupancy rate is 64%, which is higher than the local average. The average is 59% occupancy rate. We're at 64%, which is really great. Our average daily rate is $114 and we're doing about $26,000 in annual revenue with just one property. So the main point in this video that I really want to make clear to you guys is this house, you probably pass dozens of properties just like this, super small, super minuscule cottages that don't they don't draw any attention to themselves, they're just there. And the beautiful part about this is that this property is doing 30 grand a year. This is like a full-time income for somebody out there working their butt off with an entry-level job. And this is just one home and it's super laid back real estate income coming in. Is it still worth it? The answer is absolutely. If you're in an area that doesn't have strict regulations or in an area that has regulations that allow you to run your business, this is definitely something to consider. This property, which would otherwise be generating around 8 grand a month with the traditional form of real estate, is now generating $26,000 in revenue. The average daily rate is $114. The occupancy rate is 64%. These are all very common numbers in the Airbnb space. And what I want to go and show you guys is that it's not the only property doing that. So in the area, right? So these are a few houses located near my property. This house is doing $31,000 in revenue. And this house is doing $18,000. So as you guys can see, we're actually doing a little bit better than the average property in our area. And that is because of the way I market and the way that I set up my property on the inside. My fiance and I have had a lot of previous experience staying in Airbnbs, and we sort of took everything that we loved about these properties and we incorporated it into our own, and therefore we came out with a really solid listing overall. And I just want you guys to know that this can be you. There's no reason why you can't start doing this yourself. And jump in it before the market is way too saturated. That is what I have to say about it. Thank you guys, and I'll break down why exactly this is worth it for you. $26,000 a year is life-changing income for a lot of people. Now, if you think you can make an extra 26 grand a year, with very minimal effort, then this is something you should definitely consider doing. I'm going to break it down for you guys, and you guys can just determine whether or not it's still worth it. Here's why this makes sense to me. You have your first property, right? This is property number 1. This is where you start. This is your level of entry. You have $26,400 annual revenue. You can take the principles and the method on how you started working with this property, and you can scale that to however many you're comfortable with and how much money you want to generate. The thing I love about Airbnb is that it gives you the opportunity to scale to a 6-figure income within their business model. Now I know many of you guys are probably familiar with Amazon FBA and other online forms of income. This is just another one of these forms of income, and I've mentioned it before. So let's say you have your first property, for instance, my property, doing $26,000 in revenue a year. Then you have your second property, and that is also doing $26,000 in revenue a year. You guys get what I'm saying here? And guys, 26,000 is a very low number for my area. There's actually properties doing nearly $40,000 in revenue. So let's say you get your third property with the same method of rental arbitrage, and that is also doing $25,000 a year. You're able to acquire all these properties with the same method, and the reason it works so well is because they're paying for themselves. So you're not going out of your way to dig into your pockets for the rent on each of these properties. I'm going to break down why exactly this is so effective. Let's go to your fourth property, which is also doing $26,000 a year. And how do we know these properties are doing so well? That's simple. We have a software that allows you to scrape data off of Airbnb's website and allows you to break down everything that's going on within your city, within wherever you want to host, and it makes it well worth it. So your fifth property will also generate you $25,000 a year. Long term, looking at this over here, it's easy to see how just a few properties is life-changing income for a lot of people. I don't know if this is still clear to you guys. So you have your first property doing $26,000 in revenue. Combined income for all these properties comes down to $128,000 a year. And this is, you're generating $128,000 a year without actually owning any of these houses. So all the risk that comes along with owning a home, like all the property tax, all the expenses as far as repairs, all that kind of stuff, that's the mortgage, all that stuff is not something you have to worry about. You're literally generating a six-figure income off of a few properties that you just went out of your way to negotiate with the landlord, get a contract signed. Okay, so you're generating $128,000 in revenue. Of course, that's not all yours, but what I want to point out is that the margin for profit is actually really good compared to other business models, compared to, you know, other things you could be doing. So as far as the profitability on these properties, let's say rent is only $700 a month, right? Which is pretty reasonable for most of these properties here. They're super small 2-bedroom properties. That is a very reasonable price in my area for the rent on these properties. And there's 12 months in a year. That comes down to $8,400 a year in rent for one of these properties. $26,000 minus $8,400 leaves you with about $17,600 in profit every year on these properties. And the thing that I like about this is that it's super scalable. I hope you guys can understand how even if you're paying a high rent price, right? Like that's a relatively high price for these houses, you're still coming out with $88,000 net income in a year by running this business model. And what I really want you guys to understand is that the profit margin is there. So I don't know if this makes any sense. I hope I didn't lose you guys with this super terrible job as far as me breaking this down for you. It's a working, proven method of creating real estate income, and it's not that difficult to get the ball rolling on this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so grateful that you guys stuck around till the very end. And if you have any thoughts, leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll be more than glad to answer questions and help any of you guys with whatever it is you have a question about. I know I'm just kind of bringing this information to light. You know, now that you guys are more aware of it, you'll probably be thinking about it a little bit more. Be sure to like the video, share with anyone that you think could use this information, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell to know when I upload more of these videos and when I upload my update videos as far as me acquiring more properties this year. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.